Canada, our polite, hockey-loving neighbor, just made a seismic move shifting trade focus away from the US and toward 11 new partners. Tonight we're counting down the 7 US brands hit hardest by Canada's new trade direction, because for these companies the border just got a lot less friendly. Number 7 is Ford, the American auto icon, a name that's been synonymous with innovation, reliability, and the spirit of the open road for over a century. From the legendary Model T that put the world on wheels to the modern F-Series trucks that dominate highways today, Ford's story is woven into the fabric of North American life. Ford's deep roots in Canada stretch back generations, with assembly plants, dealerships, and loyal customers forming a vital part of the company's identity. For many Canadian families, owning a Ford is a tradition passed down through the years. For decades, Ford's cross-border supply chain has been a model of efficiency and cooperation. Every day, thousands of vehicles and millions of parts flow seamlessly between US and Canadian factories, supporting jobs and communities on both sides of the border. This intricate network has allowed Ford to keep costs down and quality up, making it a powerhouse in the North American auto industry. But the landscape is changing fast. Canada's new trade deals with Germany, Japan, and other major economies have opened the doors to a wave of global competition. Ford now finds itself up against automakers from around the world, brands that can offer vehicles at lower prices, thanks to reduced tariffs and new market access. The protections Ford once relied on are fading, and the playing field is more crowded than ever. The Ford F-150, long the king of Canadian roads and a symbol of rugged dependability, is suddenly vulnerable. Cheaper imports are flooding the market, threatening to undercut Ford's sales and erode its market share. Billions of dollars in revenue and the livelihoods of thousands are now at stake. This isn't just a boardroom problem, it's a direct hit to American jobs, especially in states like Michigan and Kentucky, where Ford's factories are economic lifelines. Every lost sale in Canada could mean layoffs, reduced shifts, and uncertainty for workers who have built their lives around Ford's success. The intricate dance of auto parts crossing the border, a process that once ran like clockwork, is now at risk. New regulations, increased paperwork, and potential delays are driving up costs and threatening to slow production. For an industry built on just-in-time delivery, even small disruptions can have massive consequences. Ford's entire North American strategy is being shaken to its core. The ripple effect extends far beyond the company itself, threatening hundreds of suppliers, trucking companies, and small businesses across the Midwest. If Ford stumbles, the shockwaves will be felt in towns and cities that depend on the auto industry for their survival. The company now faces an existential threat. To survive, Ford must adapt quickly to a crowded, fiercely competitive market, or risk losing its most loyal customers to foreign rivals. The pressure is on to innovate, cut costs, and find new ways to stand out in a sea of choices. The Built Ford Tough slogan has always been a badge of honor, but now it's about to face its toughest test yet, not on the road, but in the unforgiving arena of global trade. Ford's reputation, legacy, and future are all on the line. For Ford, the easy ride is over. The road ahead is full of obstacles, and only time will tell if this American icon can navigate the twists and turns of a rapidly changing world. At number 6, we have General Electric, a true titan of American industry. For over a century, GE has been the builder of jet engines, turbines, and the backbone of modern infrastructure, not just in the United States, but around the world. Their innovations have powered cities, connected continents, and helped shape the very fabric of daily life. From the light bulb to the jet age, GE's fingerprints are everywhere. In Canada, GE's business is nothing short of massive. Their presence is felt in nearly every province, especially in the critical sectors of energy and aviation. Long-term contracts with provincial governments keep the lights on for millions, while their jet engines power fleets for major airlines like Air Canada. Hospitals, factories, and even remote communities rely on GE's technology and expertise to keep running smoothly. For decades, these relationships have been built on trust, reliability, and a shared North American vision. But now, the landscape is shifting. With Canada forging new trade partnerships, GE faces direct competition from global giants like Siemens and Mitsubishi, companies that can now offer similar technology, often at lower prices. These rivals are eager to break into the Canadian market, bringing aggressive bids and innovative solutions. For Canadian buyers, the options have never been greater, and loyalty to GE is no longer a given. The stakes couldn't be higher. Losing even a single major contract whether it's for a power plant, a fleet of jet engines, or a hospital's imaging equipment, could mean a decade or more of lost revenue. It's not just about numbers on a balance sheet, it's about the livelihoods of thousands of highly skilled American workers, from engineers and technicians to factory line staff and support teams. The ripple effects could devastate entire communities that have depended on GE for generations. And it's not just about landing new sales. GE's lucrative service contracts, those long-term agreements to maintain, repair, and upgrade equipment, are also at risk. If Canadian buyers switch to foreign-made turbines or engines, GE loses not only the initial sale but also years of steady high-margin service revenue. This could undermine the company's entire business model in the region. The once seamless, integrated North American strategy that GE relied on is now fractured. Instead of treating Canada as an extension of its home market, GE is being forced to approach it as just another foreign territory, one with its own rules, competitors, and uncertainties. This shift complicates everything from logistics to regulatory compliance, and it erodes the advantages GE once enjoyed. Every lost deal is more than just a missed opportunity. It's a blow to U.S. manufacturing, engineering, and the communities that depend on them. When contracts disappear, so do jobs, investments, and the sense of security that comes with being part of a global leader's supply chain. For GE, this isn't just about facing new competition. It's about a slow, steady erosion of dominance in a market they once considered home turf. A warning sign for American industry as a whole, and a challenge that will test the company's resilience in the years ahead. Number 5 is Tyson Foods, America's meat giant and a staple in Canadian supermarkets. For years, Tyson's chicken, beef, and pork have crossed the border to feed millions of Canadians. Now, Canada's new trade deals open the door to cheaper meat from Brazil, Argentina, and Australia. Tyson faces a price war it may not win, as Canadian buyers are tempted by lower-cost imports. This isn't just a corporate problem, it's a direct threat to American farmers supplying Tyson. A drop in Canadian demand means less business for U.S. farms, risking jobs and livelihoods across rural America. Oversupply in the U.S. could drive prices down for everyone, hurting the entire industry. Tyson must now choose slash prices and profits or cede the Canadian market to global competitors. At number 4, Procter & Gamble, the king of consumer goods, from Tide to Pampers. P&G's North American strategy relied on treating the U.S. and Canada as one market, with integrated supply chains and shared marketing. Canada's new trade deals invite European and Japanese brands to compete head-to-head, often at lower prices. Suddenly, P&G's products face a flood of new rivals on Canadian shelves. Even a small loss of market share means hundreds of millions in lost revenue. U.S. factories could see reduced orders leading to layoffs and higher costs. P&G must fight harder for shelf space, possibly cutting prices and profits just to keep up. The era of easy dominance is over. P&G now faces a battle for every Canadian customer. Number 3 is Caterpillar, whose heavy machinery has powered Canadian industry for decades. Canada's mining, forestry, and construction sectors have long relied on Caterpillar's iconic yellow machines. But new trade deals let Japanese and Korean competitors like Komatsu and Hyundai compete tariff-free. Canadian buyers now have cheaper options, threatening Caterpillar's multi-billion-dollar revenue stream. U.S. plants could see order drops, leading to layoffs and economic pain in manufacturing towns. It's not just about selling machines. Caterpillar also risks losing decades of parts and service revenue. The company must now defend its turf in a market where price, not just reputation, rules. For Caterpillar, the ground is shifting, and they risk being left behind. Number 2 is Boeing, a titan of aerospace and a longtime supplier to Canadian Airlines. Canada's new trade pact with the EU gives Airbus a major edge, letting them sell planes tariff-free. Canadian Airlines are already shifting orders to Airbus, threatening billions in Boeing sales. Losing these deals means lost jobs not just at Boeing but across the vast U.S. aerospace supply chain. It's not just about selling planes. Boeing also loses decades of maintenance and parts revenue. The company now faces a dogfight in a market where its biggest rival has the upper hand. For Boeing, the turbulence is real, and the stakes couldn't be higher. And at number 1 we have PepsiCo, the snack and soda giant whose iconic products have long filled Canadian shelves, from the classic fizz of Pepsi to the crunch of Lay's and the bold flavors of Doritos. For decades, PepsiCo has been a household name in Canada, woven into daily routines and celebrations alike. PepsiCo's North American business is built on seamless cross-border supply chains and massive economies of scale. Their network of bottling plants, distribution centers and suppliers stretches from the heartland of the U.S. to the bustling cities of Canada, ensuring that shelves are always stocked and consumers rarely see an empty spot. But now, Canada's new trade deals are opening the floodgates to a surge of global snack and beverage brands. Suddenly, the Canadian market is transforming into a fierce battleground, where local favorites must compete with a wave of international newcomers, each vying for a spot in shoppers' carts. Even a tiny drop in daily sales across chips, soda, juice, and more adds up to a huge financial hit for a company of PepsiCo's scale. When multiplied across thousands of stores and millions of transactions, even a small shift in consumer preference can ripple through the company's bottom line. PepsiCo must now defend hundreds of product lines against a relentless wave of new competitors. Every shelf becomes a front line, every snack and drink a potential casualty in the fight for consumer attention. The company faces the daunting task of maintaining loyalty in a market where choice has never been greater. And it's not just PepsiCo that stands to lose. U.S. farmers growing corn and potatoes, factory workers processing and packaging products, and entire communities tied to the PepsiCo supply chain will feel the pain as Canadian demand drops. The ripple effects could be felt far beyond the border. For PepsiCo, the threat is broad, deep, and relentless. Millions of tiny battles every day, on every shelf, in every store. The company must innovate, adapt, and fight harder than ever to keep its place at the top. The Canadian market, once a fortress for PepsiCo, is now wide open. With new rivals pouring in and consumer tastes shifting, PepsiCo faces the real risk of going flat in the Great White North, unless it can find a way to keep its fizz alive. From cars and planes to potato chips, Canada's trade pivot is shaking the foundations of America's biggest brands. This isn't just business, it's a fundamental shift in the US-Canada relationship. The era of taking economic ties for granted is over. Global competition is the new normal. These changes will impact jobs, prices, and the products we all rely on. Staying informed is more important than ever. The neighborly handshake has been replaced by a far more competitive and complicated global marketplace.